Welcome. Good afternoon. Today we have a very special program, I would say, because we have a very special guest with us this afternoon. Rabbi Horowitz, who's the rabbi of Williams Island Temple, Shul. And I do want to apologize because the flyer went out naming your president, Neil Katz, as the rabbi, and his mother and father, I'm sure, were very proud that he became a rabbi, but in essence, Rabbi Horowitz is the rabbi. We enjoy, when I say we, the Williams Island and the Shul enjoy a very warm and wonderful relationship. We work together. We try to promote as much as we can, not only spirituality, but community. And it's been wonderful. I know if you ever walk through the community and you pass the rabbi and his lovely wife, they'll say, how are the children, how you remember this, I don't know. How you remember people's names, I don't know. But it's a remarkable thing, and you just make people feel so warm and just feel ingratiated with you. But we are in the middle of the high holidays now. And I've been asked so many times, this is such a powerful holiday. What is the meaning between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? What's the difference between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur? I am not certainly qualified to answer that question by any means, but who better to ask than our rabbi?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Bob, for your warm welcome. And at the very outset, I would like to wish a very happy, healthy, sweet New Year to all the residents of the greater Williams Island community, both my co-religionists as well as residents of every faith and creed, and also a happy, healthy New Year to all the staff members who worked so hard to make Williams Island the beautiful Shangri-La that it is. Everybody should be blessed with a wonderful year. Everything that ails you physically should evaporate. I know that everyone feels a sense of angst and suffocation, the sense that the masks and COVID are still very much with us. We hope that should dissipate, and we should be blessed with the usherance in of a new healthy year for our community and for our world. In answer to your question, the best way to do that would be to refer to a story which evokes memories that happened 20 years ago, but I think it gets to the crux of what Rosh Hashanah is all about. I was a rabbi in upstate New York prior to coming here for 10 years in the frozen tundra of Schenectady, New York. And I had a congregant. He was not religious in a ritualistic sense. His name was Eugene Weiss, and he was a graduate of Auschwitz. He was all of 13 in the death camps, and he survived not only Auschwitz, but an infamous death march. And I would see him twice a year on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And I would say to him, Mr. Weiss, I spoke to him in Yiddish, "Was macht ihr?" How are you, Mr. Weiss? And the answer was always the same. Without missing a beat, he would say, Al tiftach peh l'satan, which means, do not give Satan an opening or a mouth to start up. As halavai, things are going well, they should just continue. Now, his wife recently called me. She's a woman who's quite advanced in years, but she's very alert and smart and wise, just to find out how I was doing, fairing knowing that I had survived the COVID. And it brought back memories of her wonderful husband. And I reminded myself that Satan, which is a word that all of us are familiar with, it's a concept that's universal to all religions. Satan means the Grim Reaper. Satan wears many hats. He's the angel of death, and he's that inner voice within us that tries to deter us from being God-driven. And it also occurred to me that the word Satan also comes up in the context of Rosh Hashanah. Because if you've ever been to the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah, the sound of the shofar is blasted before the Amidah, the private petition, and then again during the Shemona Esrei. There are 100 shofar blasts that we hear during the course of the Musaf service, some of them before the Musaf and some of them within the Musaf. Why is that? And the Talmud asks this question. It says, Kidei la'arbev hasatan, in order to confuse Satan. Now, Satan is a prosecuting attorney. He's a wily seductor, and he's working 24 hours, 24/7 to confuse us, to confound us, and ultimately to prosecute us on the day of judgment. How is it possible to confuse him? So I wanted to suggest, and I said this to my congregation, and I think this might get to the core of what really is, what Rosh Hashanah is all about, and it will lead us into Yom Kippur. Many of us who go to the synagogue during these high holidays, the reasons why we go are as diverse as our personalities. Some go out of force of habit because their fathers and mothers and grandparents before them go. Some go because of personal needs, for health, for prosperity. There's an illness in the family, needs which almost father a natural impulse to pray. But whatever the reason why everyone goes to the synagogue on Rosh Hashanah, at the end of the day, it's all about us. And Rosh Hashanah is a coronation day. We sound the shofar, it's a trumpet heralding God's kingship. So here Satan, as a prosecuting attorney, has a very, very compelling argument to level against us. Here it's the coronation day, and look at all of these people in the synagogue. It's not about you, God, it's about them. They're petitioning for their own personal needs. So we say, Satan, you got it wrong. That would be true if we were to be blowing the shofar just once. But we sound the shofar a second time that it's not about us. It's about you. It's you are the sovereign. It's your world. And it's a very easy mistake to make, because we prance about this world like we're lords of the cosmos. We send people to the moon. We predict the weather. We build skyscrapers that pierce the heavens. And we would think that we are lords over space and time. And God quickly disabuses us of that flawed mindset. People in nearby Surfside, our neighbors, even though they had keys to their apartments and condominiums, they went to sleep as owners of their apartment, and their dreams were snuffed out by tons of crumbling concrete. So Rosh Hashanah, it's all about God. At the end of the day, He is supreme Lord and Master of reality. That is Rosh Hashanah. Now, a corollary of this idea relates to Yom Kippur with a similar idea. I'm talking about Satan, but the Talmud says that the word ha-satan, you place a letter hey in front of the Hebrew letter hey, in front of any word, the Satan, ha-satan, the numerical equivalent of that word, the Satan in Hebrew, is 364. If you add up all the letters, the hey, which is 5, the sin, which is 300, the tet, which is 9, and the nun, which is 50, comes out to 364, which is another way of saying that Satan operates every day of the year except one day for Yom Kippur. Now, what in heaven's name does that mean? If Satan is the grim reaper and the angel of death, I had a congregant that passed away 2 years ago on Yom Kippur. Satan operates the entire year. What it means is that there is one day a year where we feel more alive and more vital. If you're having a good Yom Kippur when you're connecting to the Almighty, what you're really saying is that whatever I've done during the year does not define me. That in my process of teshuvah, of repentance, what does teshuvah ultimately mean? Returning to one's truest sense of self. Whatever I've done during the year does not define me. There is a part of me that is removed, that is pristine and unaffected and untainted and unblemished. My actions during the year do not define me. I feel totally alive and vital. There may be a proverbial tsunami heading my way, but today I am truly alive. I'm connected to my life source, the Almighty in heaven. I know I've monopolized the discussion so far, but I have one concluding thought that everyone can relate to. 20 years ago, from this past Shabbat, I don't know where you were, but I was sitting in a dentist's office. I had a friend that I went to rabbinical school that was on the top floors of the World Trade Center. He had no means of escape. And he got hold of a phone. The last 45 minutes of his life, he was on the phone with his wife. And he said to her, Miriam, I love you. His name was Shimi Beagleiz, and you can Google him. He worked for a company called Fiduciary Trust. And he told his wife how much he loved her, that he loved her more than life itself. He conveyed that to each of his children, and he conveyed gave to them, in a sense, a spiritual last will and testament. He projected to them his real untainted self. The real Shimei, whoever he was, is what was left indelibly etched in their psyche. So I would say that the work of every Jew on Yom Kippur is to return to their truest sense of self and to ask themselves that if God forbid this should not happen to anyone, that no one should ever in their lifetimes be enveloped in a blanket of terror that encompassed this friend of mine in the final 45 minutes of his life. But he had a Yom Kippur moment. And I say to each and every one of us, as we prepare for Yom Kippur, ask ourselves, if we were, God forbid, in that situation, what would we be saying to our wives and to our children? How would we convey our love to them? What would be the image that we would want to project that would be seared into their psyche in terms of how they remember us? I hope that will guide and inform our process of Teshuvah. The Rosh Hashanah was the coronation, and the Yom Kippur is a sense of returning to our truest sense of self. And in the merit of those wonderful feelings that will guide us in these critical hours as we prepare for that holy day, I hope all of us will be blessed with a year of peace and prosperity and health, and above all, peace of mind, and in a safe COVID-free world.
Well, and it's beautiful. I have to ask you, in the COVID world we live in, obviously it's so difficult for people to understand. Do they go to temple? Do they watch it? Do they come? Do they don't? Do they stay home? How does a rabbi connect with these congregants, who some will be there, of course, and some won't come, or they're not comfortable coming? It must be very difficult because you have to be all things to all people, almost, rabbinically.
Absolutely. But I think the first idea that has to be conveyed, that the sanctity of life is a cardinal principle in Judaism, and people's decision to come to the synagogue or not to come is very, very personal, and everyone really has to stop and calculate what is in their best interest health-wise, and that ultimately is the best situation for each individual and for each family. For those who cannot come to the synagogue, and I'm sure I speak for all rabbis, strive mightily to make the congregation feel that wherever they are, they should do their best to daven, to pray, to have a siddur, and to communicate, to have an ongoing dialogue with Hashem, wherever they happen to be. And I try my best, as all rabbis do, to pastor to them via the phone, via messages and the internet, and through communications that we send out through the shul newsletter.
And one of the questions, the other thing I do get asked, and I guess we all get asked this, the whole premise, and I shouldn't say the whole premise, but the premise, or part of the premise of the holidays, is to ask forgiveness. And how did that become part of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, where we as Jews use that and have the ability to go to fellow man if we did something wrong, go to God if we did something wrong? How does that play its role in Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur? Because it's obviously a very big part of doing al-Hait and such in the service.
I think it's a very, very good question. I think that in the Teshuvah process, that there has to be a day set aside where we take stock, where we make a cheshbon hanefesh, an accounting, so to speak, like the high priest of old, who would go into the Holy of Holies one day a year. Every Jew one day a year has to take an honest accounting with an unjaundiced view and enter their Kodesh Kadashim, so to speak, the innermost sanctum, the deepest part of them, and it's a day of reckoning to understand that they've made mistakes, there are foibles and flaws, and we're only human. But part of being human is to strive to to understand that we're created in God's image, and so long as we're created in God's image, we have to emulate him, and we have to try to bring out the divinity within each and every one of us, and that cannot be a complete process to the extent that we have glaring flaws and blemishes, and we're not perfect, but we have to make amends. It's a basic tenet. It's a mitzvah.
Yes.
That if you wrong someone, if another party is aggrieved, it's not enough to pay lip service, but you have to approach that person and tell them how sorry. You cannot say, if I offended you, then it's about you. You have to make amends. You have to engage in serious behavior modification, which is the process of tshuva, which is, first of all, fessing up to what you've done that's wrong, and correcting it if it's monetarily. If it's something that needs to be, that you have to redress a monetary problem, you have to do it. And if it's between God, anything between interpersonally, you have to redress that wrong.
Right.
It's a basic tenet of our belief. We're humans. We have to work on ourselves.
But then we have to change our ways afterwards. It's not good enough just to say, Rabbi, please forgive me, but you can't do the same thing the next day.
That's correct.
Yeah, you have to really have that intent in your heart.
It's interesting. In the confessional, first of all, the confessional is couched in the plural. Al chet shechatanu. It's that the Jewish community is not this lily-white notion of only righteous tzaddikim. It's a pluralistic divide that every Jew, every human being is important. Every human being is credence to the idea that we're not monkeys. We're created in the image of a living, loving God. And when we pray, to the extent that another member of our community has suffered or has failed, then it's a failing on all of our part. It's al chet shechatanu. It's couched in the plural. And not only that, in the incense that was offered by the high priest when he went into the Holy of Holies, there was one spice that was part of the whole mixture called chelbana, which was a foul-smelling spice. The idea that the Jewish community, again, is not this pure, virtuous, untainted group of tzaddikim, righteous people. It must be all-inclusive, that every Jew makes a vital contribution. The Jews that are learned, the Jews that are untutored, the Jews that are redolent with good deeds, with mitzvot, everybody is part of this corporate entity called Klal Yisrael. That's a very important idea.
You know, you made a statement before, and I'm just going to touch on it because it was actually, I think, brilliant. There's one God. We are not it. We may think we are sometimes. And it brings this story. A very dear friend of mine is a surgeon, and he was the chief of colon cancer surgery at Mount Sinai. Still is. And unfortunately, he had to do surgery on me twice, and both times saved my life. And at the first time we had surgery, he wanted nothing to do with religion, wanted nothing to do with going to synagogue, wanted nothing to do with anything, and he had the worst bedside manner you ever had in your life. But we sort of got together, and I was president of the temple at that time, and he said, well, why do you do all that? Why do you get so involved? And I said, it's me. I grew up with it. Next time I see him, he is now the Rabbi of Beth Shalom, I think it is on Miami Beach. I said, wow, that's quite a leap from doing nothing to now you're the Rabbi. And he said, yes. Then we went out to dinner one night, and he said, you know, you had said something to me about I have a lousy bedside manner, and sometimes you act too much. I said to him, you know, you're not God. God gave you the talent, but you're not God. And he started studying Musa. And I won't go into the whole study of that today, but basically it brings you back to your blood and guts, what you basically are, and it builds you back up as a better person, let's say, for a better word, and you could explain it better than I. He became the transformation this man went through. Great surgeon, but now looking at life so differently and not thinking he is God, but appreciating the talents God gave him to be able to perform his talent. And it's very interesting because you said that, you know, when you're there, he's there. We're not him.
It's a beautiful thought. You know, there was a great sage, a genius from Boston, and Rabbi Soloveitchik, I'm sure many have heard of him, but he asks, if God is immutable, God doesn't change. He makes a decision. How can our prayers possibly affect his decision-making process if he is immutable? And the answer, he says, is what you're really saying, that God doesn't change, but man changes.
Yes.
Through introspection, through evaluation, through working a lifetime to transform vice into virtue, and to realize that he's not invincible, and that he's only human, and that he has failings, and that he is not God, and to work on himself, to change, to work on character. And that is a basic concept of Yom Kippur, which is tshuva. We have to believe that we can change.
And that's why I ask, because yes.
I know that I think that I've changed in certain ways. I always used to think that people whom I knew years ago, pretty much with you echoing what you just said, that people do change. They can work on themselves in terms of becoming kinder and nicer and less easygoing and more yielding. I think all of us have to realize that teshuvah, change, is a basic component of the whole Yom Kippur and process of what it means to be a Jew.
And I think also COVID has had a big effect. When it hit the island, and of course hit the world, not just the island, but I relate to the island for the moment. We have 5,000 to 6,000 people here. All of a sudden, people realized they're mortal, and they accepted their mortality, that it could happen to them. And they did become nicer, and they did become more gracious, and they did become more sensitive and kinder and such.
Yeah.
Now it started to wane, and it went away, and some of the people stayed this way, but others went back to their old ways. Now that this variant is back, it's almost like it's going back again, and people are realizing the mortality again. And you're right, God doesn't change. We change, if we can. And I think COVID has had a major effect on changing people, because it's affected everybody. Money has nothing to do with this. You could have all the money in the world.
Absolutely.
We're all the same.
You realize how feeble we are, how fleeting life is.
That's right.
And that life is not a forever thing. It can be like in the blink of an eye, everything that all your health can be snuffed out.
Exactly.
It's very sobering.
Well, I can't thank you enough for coming today, really.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and I want to thank you. And once again, I want to extend the best wishes for the entire community. All of our prayers on Yom Kippur should be answered, and whatever we need for ourselves and our loved ones should come to fruition in a happy, healthy, peaceful, safe world. Have a wonderful Yom Tov, everyone.
And I do want to add just one last thought. The rabbi is the rabbi of the island, not just the Williams Island Shul. And there's so many people on this island that are unaffiliated, but on many occasions need spirituality, need somebody in their life to talk to. And the rabbi's door is always open. It makes no difference whether you're a member or not. I know many, many people that in those moments of need have called upon you. It doesn't matter whether you're a member or not.
Well, I don't view myself really as the rabbi of a synagogue. I see myself as the rabbi of the greater Williams Island community.
Right. Exactly.
And we're here for everyone, not only the Jewish residents, but the non-Jewish residents as well. I also might add that the synagogue is hosting a sukkah party on September 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. in our new expanded sukkah. And there'll be entertainment and live music. Everyone is invited. Rain or shine, if it can't take place in the sukkah, we'll have it in the synagogue. The sukkah will be constructed, and we thank you and Williams Island for facilitating and making this possible. But the sukkah will be constructed between the 2000 building and the Villa Flora
on the basketball court.
On the basketball court. So please come. We'd love to have you. There'll be food and musical entertainment. And thank you again for all that you do for our community and making this such a wonderful
truly our pleasure
place.
Truly our pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. And I hope you've all enjoyed listening to our rabbi. It's truly amazing. And I must tell you, it's not easy asking questions of a rabbi who is so knowledgeable. But we also have another special guest today with us. And this is something very exciting that's been happening on the island. As you know, we've been talking about the new biostation that's coming to Williams Island. We have broken ground on it. The wall is open, and hopefully within a couple of 3 months it'll be open. For those of you that have been coming to the spa, you can get free B12 shots. I think it's one day of the week. But this is Ross, the owner of the company, and I thought because we're so close to our grand opening, and we will be doing a lot more conversations as to what this is and what the programs are, I thought today we would start by you giving us a 30,000-foot view of what BioStation is going to mean to this island. What do they do when they go there? What is the process? What are the opportunities?
Perfect. Well, so thank you all for having us. I very much appreciate the opportunity of being here. I want to say thank you to Carrie, Steve, as well as Mr. Shelley.
I want to interrupt, and I'm sorry to do this. I think what you're going to hear, understand everything is done with medical supervision. And I just wanted to preface that because some of the things you're going to talk about will be injectables and so on and so forth. Nothing is done without medical supervision at all times. So please.
Perfect. Yeah. So again, thank you guys for having us. We're very excited to be here, and sort of our offerings and amenities that we specialize in, I think would be a great fit for obviously the members, the guests, and the residents of the island. So to summarize the BioStation, I am one of three founders. My partner Keith Follis and my father, Dr. Bloom, helped start the BioStation. Our focus and what we're trying to do is really provide resource for people that are interested in learning about their current state of health and well-being, and then we help support sort of deficiencies and imbalances where we identify issues as people sort of begin the aging process. So on island, we're actually going to be operating a facility inside the spa, so inside the beautiful clubhouse. And we're going to be doing everything from nutrient injections, diagnostic studies, all of your traditional med spa services, so injectables, laser treatments, body contouring, things of that nature. But our biggest focus really is sort of identifying where patients are lacking in terms of what we would call lifestyle and or genetic dispositions, and we help support and improve those in order for patients to age in a more healthy fashion. Our goal is not necessarily to lengthen the years of life, but ultimately to improve the quality of life. And we do that by optimizing the biological systems internally. And one of the benefits is obviously you will feel better, but ultimately you'll look better. And so yes, we're super excited to be here. And I think sort of in conjunction with the other spa services you guys offer, we will help complement that in a very harmonious and symbiotic way.
So what I'm hearing is this is more or less a quality of life, preventative, proactive medicine.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of our patients come into our facilities because they want to, right? And so not because they need to per se. So I will tell you, Dr. Bloom, who's been a cardiologist for over 40 years, he had a private practice in Boca. He would tell you most of his patients, probably 95% of his patients, walked in through his office because they had a cardiovascular issue. This actually opportunity, the birth of the BioStation, was very intriguing to him because it allowed him the opportunity to spend quality time with patients who were not in need, but that had desire. So it's very much elective. And he will also share with you and many of the patients that he treats and new patients that he will be seeing that to get in front of issues prior to addressing issues, right? So yes, that is sort of the main foundation of our practice is really to be a resource and provide education and then support decisions that the patients need to make in terms of improvements of those issues.
All right. I'll ask you the same question.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's talk about the day in the life of Bob Shelley, or any resident's going to come to visit you. He's going to walk into your store, into your BioStation, and I'm going to say I'm here. I read all about it. I've seen the posters outside. I heard about hormone therapy and injectables and vitamins and such, but how do I know what I need? How do you determine what's best for me?
Perfect. Well, so patient would come in through our facility. We would examine the patient. We would then take we would do an extensive blood draw. We would do very in-depth diagnostic studies. Then you would schedule a 1-hour consultation with one of our medical providers. So either one of our various physicians or nurse practitioners, physician assistant. you'll spend at a minimum of an hour with your medical provider reviewing all the laboratory studies that have been found. You'd also go into in-depth of your histories, your genetic dispositions, and sort of we would develop a personalized plan specific to you. You as the patient would then sort of identify what was most important, and you would really begin a managed wellness program with us. And so it's constantly monitored, so we would continually do testing to make sure that we're achieving various biomarkers.
Okay, so before we go further, when you say a wellness program, what would that consist of? Or what could it, or might it consist of?
So very good question. So a wellness program basically would be, so our medical team would diagnose, and then they would develop a treatment plan. And that treatment plan would start on, we'll call it your hormone health. Then we'd focus on your cardiovascular health. Then we would focus on your thyroid health. Then we'd focus on overall general wellness. And all of those areas of focus can be identified in a clinical consultation, as well as data that's achieved from diagnostic studies. And in that consultation, again, we would develop a personalized plan specific for you, addressing all of those main 4 areas of I would say, focus that the physicians would hone in on. And any additional things that the patient may sort of be experiencing, whether it has to do with cognitive function, sleep issues, libido issues, gut health, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's very personalized. We take a lot of information, we acquire a lot of data, and we develop this plan, that's specific for the patient.
And the plan would consist of what?
This plan would consist of bioidentical hormones, a lot of personalized supplementation. So we would identify deficiencies of vitamin intake and or vitamin absorption. Imbalances with your thyroid, for example. We can identify a lot of autoimmune issues as well. So allotting this time with the physician and the patient with extensive data allows us to identify a lot of issues within the patient. Mm-hmm. And so the wellness plan would consist of a variety of things, but mostly, like I stated, sort of we would supplement anything that was lacking or anything that was imbalanced through hormone replacement therapy, through IV nutrition, and other supplementation vehicles as well.
So you have more than one station now. How many biostations, how many places do you have presently?
Presently we have 7 locations, and we're in process of opening up an additional 3 locations.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so we've had great success, and it's really based on the success of the patients. So we're, like I said, we're excited to be here. We're excited to sort of be a part of this new movement of what I would call functional medicine, and I would say it's personalized medicine as well. So I'd say sort of in the midst of this, of what we're dealing with in the pandemic, people are obviously way more in tune to the decisions that they make. And so the biostation is really, we are very grateful to be part of supporting people that are not knowing things that they can and should do. So yeah, that's
So when do you anticipate we should be opening here, based on your time frame and your experience?
I think you gave a very conservative time frame within 3 months. Hopefully we're going to be open obviously before the beginning of the holiday season, and sort of our team will get integrated into the process here as well, and we'll be here to service all of the members and residents of the property.
I want to add before we part, because when we were discussing, when Carrie first brought this to us, I felt it was important that I went to see the operation, and we went up to the one at Boca Raton Hotel, I believe it was.
Yes.
And then we went to the one in Midtown.
Correct.
And I know a few people on the island. Carrie has become part of this program, but I figured I would use my wife as a guinea pig and get her started and see how she did, because it's always nice to actually see what goes on, and we wanted to have a feel for it before we came to the island with it. And I will tell you, and not for any other reason except to say that her energy level, her attitude, her mental health has been amazing. She's on it now, I'm going to say 3 months, something like that. I can't say it's cheap, but I can only say you don't put a price on your health and longevity and wealth. And to me, the most important thing is quality of life. we may not live longer, but we'll enjoy those years that we do have.
Correct.
And I think that's what you're creating for us in the island.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm glad to hear that your wife is doing well.
She's loving it.
Perfect.
She feels great and she's feisty, but that's a different story. But no, everything is great.
Awesome. Thank you
Well,
so much.
I want to thank you, and we look forward to it. And I guess during the next couple of months, we will have some seminars coming in. You'll be talking to groups of people. You'll be doing the B12. More importantly, I think we'll have some more seminars where people can come to meetings and have a little coffee and conversation with you, because people will have a lot of questions to ask. And I think prior to the opening, I think it would be great if you start to ask, talk to some of the people on the island.
Absolutely. So yeah, I would say one of the most important factors I would say that Dr. Bloom has brought into the DNA of the biostation is in fact education, right? So there's so much out there, especially via Dr. Google, that people can learn. And not everything is accurate, and not everything is relatable to that specific individual. So education and being a resource for our patients is really what has bred a lot of the success for both the practice and the patient.
That's
so
great.
We very much look forward to being just that, an outlet and a resource to the residents of the island. And I think that is what differentiates sort of this new age medicine versus traditional healthcare, which definitely plays a huge part within our community. But ultimately, the time that we give to patients allows for that education component to resonate. So we'd love to have it.
And just to add to that before we say goodbye, you don't have to wait for it to open to start the program, find out about the program, or get involved. Speak to Carrie Griffith, the head of our spa, and she knows how to reach you and your staff. And you could go down, see the station, you can see what goes on there, you can meet, discuss it, or even get started. So we don't have to wait till it opens here for you to start taking the advantage of what will be offered by Ross and his staff.
Absolutely.
Ross, thank you. I can't thank you
I
enough,
appreciate
and
it.
we look forward to it.
Yep, thank you guys. Thank you. Look forward to meeting everyone.
Great, thank you so much. Good afternoon, and we're back again. And we have Mr. Steve Matlaga, our COO, with us. And now for the exciting part of the interview, what is going on with Williams Island, all the new and exciting things that are happening, but more importantly, the update on the new renovation, all the sub-renovations, all the little projects we're doing. So not much to talk about. So giving you that opportunity, but before I do, I want to tell you, you were very hurtful this weekend.
Oh, no.
Steve went to see a football game with his daughter, and his team happened to be FSU, and her team, UF, excuse me,
careful.
and his daughter's team was something else,
USF.
and USF, and his team won. He sat in the student section of her school with his shirt on, embarrassed his daughter, and then gloated when they won. So,
Oh, it was a blast.
so therefore, we understand now.
Thank you, Bob. That's a great way to start off an interview, right?
So based on that, this is
so-
Steve Matlaga.
That's fine.
As the rabbi said, the Grim Reaper.
Oh, the Grim Reaper. Well,
But-
today we always have these series of Bob Talks, and they're amazing. Bob has done an incredible job communicating to the community. So today we're taking over Bob Talks, and we're going to have a Steve Talk moment. Team, you want to join me, please?
Hi.
Oh, what is this going on here?
Steve, I have something special here for Bob that I'd like you to do the honors
Oh
and
my
present.
God, what is all this?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Come on in. You're part of the team, too.
Wow.
So today is a very special day for me and the rest of the operating team here because we get to pull a little surprise for Bob. There's a national magazine that is the top magazine regarding clubs and communities in America. And on an annual basis, they take submissions for the top 30 presidents of communities and clubs in the United States. Now, there are thousands of these clubs, and so I'm glad to present to you today, Mr. Shelley, a letter from the Boardroom magazine congratulating you that you were chosen as one of the top 30 club community presidents in the country. And so in addition to that, also comes a very nice, very heavy little recognition, 2020 Club President of the Year. And so it's my honor to give that to you as a partner. Now, for everybody out there, you know, we have an incredible community, and we are so blessed to have so many committees that participate to the well-being of the community. Finance, C&E, legal, A&E, right? And it's A&E? C&E, excuse me. But the Architectural Review Committee as well, so ARC, forgive me. But one of the things is our board works tirelessly for the betterment of the community, and Bob has been leading the board for almost 3 years now. And the board today are amazing. The community, there's a lot of things that have gone on. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and from time to time, it's wonderful for us to be able to show our appreciation to you. And so we are all just behind you, behind the board, behind the community, and we're all amazed and humbled that we were able to show you the respect, you know, that you deserve through this really wonderful honor. And so one of the things that's going to happen this month is in the September-October edition of the Boardroom magazine, there will be a small article on you and the contributions that you've made to the community that we submitted in a letter of nomination that we sent last fall for this.
Great job,
so congratulations, and thank you for all you do for us.
Well, I'm humbled and I'm shocked.
Is he crying?
I almost am.
I knew it.
But I have to tell you, it's an amazing award. But truthfully, I have to share it because as much as I may do, I could never do it without who's standing here with me now, and without the entire board support behind us as well.
Yes.
So I thank you so much for this, and this really is very touching. It's wonderful to be recognized, but I think what this is doing is recognizing all of us, because we've all contributed to make this happen. And it may have my name on it, but it's my name only, in name only. Indeed, it's what we've all done together, and I cannot tell you what a privilege it is to be president of an island like this, but with the staff that we experience together, and the challenges we have gone through in the last 2 years and continue to go through. In spite of that, what we have accomplished, and I say we, and I mean that very, very seriously, thank you all very much.
You're very welcome, and we love you.
Thank you.
So that was a nice little takeover of Bob Talks, but in all sincerity, Bob, you know, we all respect, appreciate, and love this community, and we love working with you and all of the other amazing folks that give so unselfishly of their time and everything. And so, you know, and Bob has had such fun interviewing me and teasing me about things like antagonizing my daughter's football team and in the student section and things of that nature. But it really takes a village in our community. So thank you also to the residents that have supported everything that we've done, have supported all the amenities, the operations, and you know, been compliant in our ongoing focus around COVID to keep everybody safe, because this is still a battle that we're fighting together. And so, you know, thank God, for the most part, we've been really good. But you know, you as usual started to talk to me about where we are with some of the projects, and you know, obviously BioStation, we're looking in the next probably 60 to 90 days and getting open, and I think that was a great interview with Ross. You know, it's about quality of life, and the interview with the Rabbi beforehand, some really, really powerful messages. And the lineup that we've had over the last year with all of the people that have come in through the holidays, and what you and Janine did last Tuesday about the Rosh Hashanah musical ceremony. I mean, all these are things that get us excited about what this community is doing today and where it's heading tomorrow. We have a truly bright future here at Williams Island.
And I just want to stop for 1 second, because coming up in the next few months, when we get into December, we have an amazing Christmas program scheduled to have. And I will tell you, I don't want to tell you too much about it, but a certain individual will remain unnamed, who happens to be sitting here, will be Santa Claus, dressed as Santa Claus, as part of the event. But we also will be having a beautiful musical evening, and I will tell you, it's something that no one should miss. but we'll give you more and more information on it as we get closer to the holidays.
There's never a script with us, so I would just want to remind everybody as well, that's going to be a lot of fun.
That will.
But New World Symphony is on the 27th of this month, and so I'm sure there'll be something in the Monday news that Arlene sends out today, but make your reservations for that early, because I think that's going to be a spectacular night as well. And so, you know, transitioning back into things that are happening, you know, we have, you know, some what are called small projects, and that's the bundling of 4 different projects, which is the moving of food and beverage storage over behind the Island Grill, so that when we shut down the Island Club, and we expect that to happen somewhere around April, that we have refrigeration and storage to maintain the grill, which is our #1 food and beverage outlet, okay? Then after that, we're gonna start improvements next to the tennis courts, you know, with the larger gazebos, the permanent gazebos, to support all of our events. Now that we've gotten busier, and when we will be busier in season for the deli, those will be extra shade and great social gathering areas out there as well. Then we'll move inside, and we'll be taking and reorganizing the downstairs of the building to give tennis their own tennis shop, and the deli will expand. And during that project, the tennis shop won't be closed, the deli will be closed until we take a day to move the tennis into the new area of that building. So those projects, we're looking at the construction to begin on the small projects early in January, to be completed by early April. And then right now, so far, God willing, and you know, permit and you know, design permitting, we'll put a shovel in the ground somewhere in the first week of April for the Island Club project. Those are all really amazing things that are going to shape the future of the island, you know, and shape the lifestyle experience that we have. But more pressing and more immediate is everybody has seen what's gone on with the sewer project, you know, as far as the roadways and so on and so forth. And so the estimate that we have is the week of the 20th is when they will come on property, on Williams Island property, for the very first time. And so in the very first week, there'll probably be no major changes in traffic patterns or things of that nature they're going to be setting up. And so the exit 2 lanes, you know, will be open predominantly. They might take one of the exit lanes, and so y'all need to pay attention, you know, as far as that's concerned. And I think that after they're on site for the first 2 weeks, we'll get a better idea of how much longer the whole project is going to be. Because they don't know whether the sewer has been settled and it's jogged and it's a sleeving project. And so some of those things, when you're talking about work that was done in the 80s, they won't see what the conditions are until they get on site and dig some things up. And so,
But the good thing about that is, just to add, at all times there will be both in and out traffic
Yes.
lanes. So
Yes.
the island will never have to deal with what we dealt with when they did Williams Island Boulevard. At all times during this construction, there'll be a lane in and a lane out open.
yes.
So that's going to be a big help. So nobody will be obstructed from leaving or coming onto the
Right.
island.
And we're just going to ask everybody to pay attention to the cones and the signs. You know, sometimes we'll move 2-way traffic over to one side of the street and the other side, but you're right, there'll never be a complete closure or anything crazy, you know, as far as that's concerned. And we just need people to be alert and respectful, you know. We have a lot more pedestrian traffic, a lot more bicycle traffic, and those are the concerns that we want everybody to watch out for, those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. In addition to those projects, you know, the Island Grill is shut down for the month of September and October, but on Mondays is when we're doing some refurbishing in the restaurant, we're doing training, we're rewriting menus, we're rewriting the bar drink menus and specialty drink menus and things of that nature, so that by the time the end of October comes around, we have a refreshed, looking great facility for upcoming November and December. And we're just excited, you know, because of all of the things that are going on. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty busy. You know, and a lot of the staff feels like we haven't had any kind of a vacation or any kind of a, you know, slowdown in business, but we're excited to have it.
Now, to go along with this, I want to touch on a very critical component of what's going on right now. There will be a survey going out to the island sometime in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Yes.
Being prepared now in 3 languages. That is very important that you answer it as best as possible, because that will have a lot to do with some of the usages, menus, food ideas, thoughts processes, entertainment, things that we'll be doing on the pool area, the cabana area, the dining room, etc. So we ask you so desperately to answer these questions honestly. It's anonymous, but more importantly, it's going to help us guide the island in a direction, because the demographics of the island are changing. The age of the island is changing. It's getting younger. And based on that, some of the things that worked 10 years ago don't work anymore. So we need your input. We want to know what it is the island wants, what the people want, so we can implement some of these changes that are going on.
Such an important point. And even just this year, with the amount of new residents, it's twice as many as in a normal year, and we're seeing more kids around, and there's definitely more diversity. But one of the things that, and I'm glad that you brought this up, because you're going to get a letter this week from Bob and I detailing the survey, the why, and so on and so forth. But one of the things that we really need your cooperation on is that in our system, Jonas, which we keep all of the information about our residents, we have the capacity to save multiple emails. And what we're interested in is the two adults in the household both take a survey. So we're going to ask you to make the primary and the secondary email address in your household the 2 people that you want to take the survey. It'll be very clear in the email, at least I think it'll be very clear in the email that we send out. But if you have any questions about that, all we need you to do is to call the office, and we'll talk you through that. Okay? But I think it's important. It's been a while since we did a survey like this, and these are things that are great because it gives us data and quantitative information, as well as, you know, asks you what you'd like to see in the future. And that's how we shape things that make you happier and you know, about your community on a day-to-day basis.
Well, so I think you've got an idea. Steve and I have an exceptional partnership together. We work well together, and as you can see, he's a very busy individual with all of these projects going on. So with that, we only want to say we wish you all health and happiness in the coming year. We do have a board meeting coming up the end of September. At that meeting, we will be showing more information regarding the biostation, regarding all the renovations that we're doing, some of the pictures as to what we will be showing here. So it's important to start watching some of these things. We're hoping after the first of the year we go back to live meetings, but we feel for the safety of the island and the people, the less in-person meetings we have right now, the better. But you're welcome to be on Zoom with us. You can speak on Zoom. You can ask questions at the meetings. Please don't hesitate to ask. And I want to tell you, I thank you, Steve. I thank the staff. Especially want to thank the board of directors of the island, because they are truly the unsung heroes. You get to see me, you don't get to see them as much, but I will tell you, behind the scenes, they work hard. Each one is brilliant in their own way. We all have camaraderie together, and the most important thing is the island is the main focus of the direction we take with the board. So I thank you, Steve. I thank everyone for listening today. And I only wish you all the best, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Have a great day. Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce you to Jackie D., our Assistant Spa Director. Carrie is off biking in North Carolina, someplace in the mountains. But actually, we don't miss a beat because Jackie is amazing. She's her right hand, her left hand, and she does everything anyhow.
Thank you, Bob.
So I understand we have some great new youth programs coming up.
Yes, we have a great after-school program that's going to be starting on September 20th. It's entailing both martial arts, which is something new.
Really? Wow.
Yes, that we're starting for this year, ages from 5 years old to 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And then we have Amanda's swim program that's a continuous program that we have. Amanda's is on Mondays and Wednesdays. So she's here at the Island Club pool. She's teaching kids from infants all the way up to our seniors. So we have that going on. And Michael with the martial arts, he's going to be with us on Mondays and Thursdays in the spa and the group fitness room. The parents can do individual classes with him, and it's $25 a class, but we also have package pricing as well. So they can do the full entire length, which goes all the way into December, so twice a week, or they can do half, like a half time for half of the program. And there's a special pricing for that as well. But if not, if the parents want to do individual classes, they can do, I want to come in on Monday, sign me up, and they just pay $25 for those individual classes.
So how, because of COVID and the kids can't be vaccinated, how do you practice the social distancing and the masking and such with these practices? To explain a little bit, because I know the parents obviously would be concerned about that issue.
Right. So they'll have to come into the spa with their mask on. Once they're in the class, in the big room, we will have them spaced out, at least 6 feet in distance, kind of like what we did in summer camp. So we'll have them spaced out, and the instructor will have a mask on, so we'll be able to instruct with the mask and, be able to get closer to the children and do those things.
So it's all protected very well.
Correct. And if there's any kind of equipment that's going to be used, it will be sanitized also between each of the usage.
Have you had much of a response so far about this?
Yeah, we actually had right after our summer program that we had, our summer camp, we went ahead and sent out an email to the parents to let them know about this after school program, to give them another option besides the tennis, especially for the younger groups of children. And we had a lot of feedback, like, give me more information. I'm
Great.
very interested,
Wonderful.
especially in the martial arts.
Okay.
We had Michael Kaplan, who's the martial arts instructor, actually come and do a couple of classes during summer camp, and that's what kind of got the interest of the children into it. They went home and they were excited and they spoke to their parents about it. And I had parents, text me and reach out to me individually saying, what is this martial arts, and is this something that you're going to expand on later on? And we said, that was our little secret, but yes, it's going to be part of our after school program, so that's what we have
great.
going on.
Well, we look forward to it then.
Yes, thank you.
And how is everything else going at the spa?
Everything else is great. We're very excited about the biostation coming in. The construction is, like you mentioned, moving along very nicely, very smoothly, and very clean.
Now, I understand there's been quite a big response to the B12 shots already.
Yes, I mean, every Wednesday in the lobby of the spa, we have drives of people, those who are coming out of the classes,
That's wonderful.
those who are coming in from tennis also, they're coming in and they're getting their B12.
Great, great. Well, these are just some of the things we do at Williams Island to take care of our families.
Yes.
And I can't thank you enough for what you do.
We're very excited to have the youth to be part of this
No, that's
now
great.
in the spa.
Well, because as I said earlier, the demographics are changing on the island, and we have a
Absolutely.
lot more families now with young kids.
Yes.
So it's very important, and I'm thrilled to hear that you're doing all of this.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'd like to introduce you again to Phoebe Mishler. She's in charge of all the events, coordinating of everything, making sure they happen, but more importantly, you do an amazing job. The other night we had a service here. It was to die for. People loved it, but it was the little touches that you do that make the difference.
Thank you.
And between you and Arlene, I can't thank you enough.
Of course.
But I know you're here today to talk a little about some of the C&E events that we have coming up.
Yes. So our next C&E event is September 27th. So we have a really nice event planned. It's going to be out on the Fred Stoley Court. Doors are opening at 7 p.m. The New World Symphony is coming here to Williams Island. They're putting on a really nice wall cast show for us. So we're going to project their concert onto a screen on the tennis court. So they're going to have a full performance for us. We also will have a live quartet there performing. We have an open bar. We'll have coffee and desserts. So it's really important to start registering. That way you're on the list, and we make sure we have space for everybody.
So is the orchestra here, or is that going to be simulcast onto the screen?
The full orchestra is going to be on the screen.
Okay.
So it's a pre-recorded show. And then the only thing here in person is going to be the quartet,
Okay.
which will be here from 7 to 8, kind of for our cocktail hour
Great,
before
great.
the show.
And what time does that start?
7 o'clock. So doors open 7,
Mm-hmm.
and the show starts at 8.
How many people do you think you're going to allow to be here? Because obviously with the social distancing, you have to be careful.
We're planning on about 200 to 50.
Okay, so that's literally a third of what we could put out there then, which is great.
Exactly.
So we can spread it out.
Right, so we're going to have chairs theater style, spread apart. We'll have more chairs than we expect people. That way people can space out and they won't feel too crowded next to each other.
And mask will be mandatory, I assume.
They are optional when we do our outdoor events.
Oh, okay.
And the rest of our C&E events will be outdoors. And we are going to be limiting the number of people to ensure that it's not too packed.
So if we're not divulging too many secrets, who are some of the names of who's coming here the next year?
So we have Donna Summers, we have Clint Holmes.
Now, Clint Holmes was like the Mr. Entertainer of Las Vegas.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Bee Gees cover band coming up for our welcome back party,
When is that?
November 17th.
Oh, great.
So we'll start promoting that soon.
Great.
But if you want to save the date, November 17th will be our big welcome back party. And it's going to be really fun, 80s disco theme.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
Yeah, with the Bee Gees
I gotta
cover
get
band.
my old outfit on then.
Yes. And then we also have next year Julio Iglesias Jr. And that's all I can remember right now.
Is there Rita Rudner coming?
Oh yes, Rita Rudner.
Thought so. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have Rita Rudner.
And I'm sure there'll be plenty more coming up.
Yes, we have a lot planned for this
Well, that's
upcoming
wonderful.
season.
And with the holiday season coming up, if any of you want private parties in your homes, in the buildings, please contact Phoebe about that, because every year at this time of the year, we start getting requests for events to be done in the buildings themselves. So the sooner you set your date, the better it would be, to make sure there's no conflict in what we're doing on the island.
Exactly.
But I want to thank you so much.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure, and it's a pleasure having you with us on the island.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.